welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayelet, and on this account I share about our Montessori life, a Montessori home journey, respectful parenting, all of those sort of things. So today I'm going to be talking about how we're preparing my son for the birth of his little sister, for becoming a big brother. So he is currently 20 months old. He will be 21 months when the baby is born next month. I'm currently in my last month of pregnancy. So I'm sharing some of the ways that we are preparing him for this really big change in his life.
Yeah, Grandma and Grandpa. Because you're going to go to Grandma and Grandpa's house when the baby's ready to come out. And you're going to have special time there with them. Yitzchak, what do you see here?
Cat.
Yeah, you might get to see the cat. Do you know what cat that is? Princessa.
Dada.
Yeah, that's what babies look like when they're brand new.
Dada.
Yeah, exactly. In my tummy, there's a baby too.
So the first way is simply talking about it and sharing about it. And we didn't try to psych him out too early, but it's something we have had an ongoing dialogue about. We talked about there being a baby in my tummy and all of that. That's obviously very abstract to him though. So we're doing some more specific things that are actually really meant to be preparing him. So one thing we've been working on that he is loving and has been so exciting for him is this little book. And this is a book featuring him and the story of becoming a big brother. So this one in particular, I'm working on another one. So this is one of two. This one is about the birth itself. So my son has never been away from us for any sort of significant length of time before. He's never spent a night away from us or anything like that. And so this is sort of a big deal of, we don't know how long labor is going to take. I don't know how long I'm going to be away from him. That's really a lot. And so I want to prepare him as best I can for this real unknown. So in this book, we're talking about how he's going to Grandma and Grandpa's, which is a place he loves, which is good. So we're talking about how he's going to Grandma and Grandpa's, what he's going to do there, and about meeting the baby. So I'm going to show you us going through and reading that book. That is one of our ways of preparing is through this story. And so how I created this story was I did on Canva. I made, I just on Canva went through, made the pages. The little baby pictures are from when he was a baby. I figured more accurate than some random stock image. Might as well go with that. Which I told him I told him that's him, baby. But I went through and I just added images, and we printed it on sticky paper and pasted the sticky paper onto a board book. So you can do it anyway. You can laminate them. You can, bind them, just put them in sheet protectors, anything like that. I chose to do a board book. I thought that would be fun for him. It's more like all of his other books, and he's been really, really excited about it. So I'd say it's a win. And as I said, I'm still working on the other one. And the other will cover sort of what having a newborn looks like, having a newborn at home. I'm going to talk about babies and, some of those emotions of being a big brother. So that's the other one.
My sister is born. My name is Yitzchak. And soon I am going to be a big brother.
Wait.
Emma's tummy has been getting bigger and bigger. That's because there is a baby inside. Soon the baby will come out and I will meet her. When it is time for the baby to come out, I am going to go to Grandma and Grandpa's house. I love Grandma and Grandpa's house. I can play with the
Cat.
Yeah, the cats. What cat? Do you know her name? Do you know what cat that is?
No.
Maybe I can build a fire. Grandma will lie with me as I fall asleep in my floor bed.
Wait.
When I come home, Ema will give me a big snuggle. Big snuggle? Then I will meet the new baby. She is going to be really little.
Again.
Another thing we did to ease the transition for my son to the new baby is we set up his room early to be ready for the new baby. So we live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so our kids are going to be sharing a room. The baby will be sleeping in our room at least for the first year at night. If not a bit longer, we'll sort of play by ear of when I'm comfortable with them both sleeping together. However, the room, the nursery room, she will sleep there during the day, and also she'll have her toys there and all of that. So that'll all be shared space. So we set up those sort of things early. Now, not everything. Like, I don't have all of her toys out quite yet. I probably will be doing those in the next week or so, slowly adding in more of her toys that'll be there. We do have, you can sort of see in the background, the play gym. And so that was something that I put out pretty early, so that he just gets used to. It's a bigger thing. It's going to take up more space. Gets used to that it's taking up that space and has some time to sort of explore it now, because it will be her space, and I want to sort of have those boundaries that keeps her safe in that space. But I also want him, it's something, it was a toy, it was his, and I want him to have a chance to, explore and get used to it and understand, see it before she's there and playing with it. And also the bed, so you can see this is behind me, this is her floor bed. So my son has a twin size floor bed, and we have a crib size floor bed for my daughter. So we put that floor bed in before we started our trip, a few weeks before we started our trip. So when I was 20-something weeks pregnant, we put the bed together. And a few things on that. One is that we really involved him in the process. And this is something I always try to do when I'm making changes in his room, is I don't want to just, have someone take him out or have him it'd be hard if he's asleep because he's sleeping here. But I wouldn't want to do it when there's a time when he's, gone. As much as possible, I try to include him in the process. So we included him in building the bed, and that's something that has been really helpful for him to sort of be involved in it. He has his little hammer, and he can, be involved and really sort of be part of building it and see it happening, and not sort of walk into his room and suddenly have all these changes made. So that's another thing we do, is we tried to include him. We, had him help with the bed. So we have had the bed in for several weeks. I really wanted that to be in here before we started, before we traveled, because I knew we were coming back pretty late. Otherwise, there are a few things we haven't sort of fully prepped. I thought about turning the stroller into the double. I haven't done that. I'm not sure if I will, sort of when I will. But in general, we've tried to do some of those things. If it's something that I feel like might be jarring for him, it's something I want to do early. So that's particularly true around things in his room, that I feel like those things might be a bit jarring. It'll be a bit disconcerting to have these changes in your room. And so I want to make those changes early and include him as much as possible. The next thing we're doing to prepare him is encouraging a lot of doll play. So I bought him a doll carrier that matches our carrier for the baby. It's actually the same pattern, the same company, but made for a doll. So that was great. He's been really into dolls in general, which turns out, very well for us on that. But we've been encouraging that with the doll carrier, with a doll bed that looks similar to the new baby's bed. He's been loving on dolls. We've been talking about gentle hands with the doll and doing those sort of things to get used to, the idea of interacting with a baby. Obviously, it's different with a doll, but also my thought is this gives him, if I'm, taking care of a baby, this gives him the doll that he can sort of do the same actions on if he wants, and engage in that sort of really reality-based pretend play, which is the sort of pretend play you see first coming up, is that play that's really based in mimicking us in reality. So he can do that with his doll, and that's something that we have introduced in order to hopefully ease this transition as we go into having the new baby. Another thing that we've done is reading books about getting new siblings. I will link a blog post where I've included some of the books that we are reading. But reading books about new siblings, these books often talk about all the emotions around this. It's a big thing, you know, there are emotions that are exciting, but there are also hard emotions. And I don't want to pretend that there aren't. I don't want him to feel like he needs to just be happy about this and babies are amazing all the time, because that's not going to be his experience all the time. So these books that I'll link are, good at sort of showing that there are different emotions. There are a lot of different sides to this. So that's been another way we've been preparing him. It's just reading these books, talking about the experience, as I mentioned earlier, but doing a lot of that through books, as well as the books that are personalized.
It's Big Brother time. Did you know you're going to be a big brother? Uh-huh.
Grandma.
Yeah, you're going to go to Grandma and Grandpa's when you become a big brother?
House.
Yeah, you're going to go to their house. Exactly. What are you going to do at Grandma and Grandpa's house?
Cats.
Cats. You're going to see the cats?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to do with the cats?
Yum. House.
Gentle hands with the cats.
Another thing we've been doing to prepare him is just talking about babies and how babies are. He's really interested in babies. He hears a baby and he'll often squeal. So something we've been working on and talking about is, oh, the baby sounds sad, and sort of we talk about emotions in general. But this is something we're talking about around the baby, around what might the baby need. And we've been talking a lot about not just about the baby, but also about babies, about gentle hands, and how you can touch the baby's leg. And he's been doing that on his doll, which has been showing that he's absorbing that. And hopefully, as we have the baby, that'll be something he's able to do there as well. One other way we're preparing him that isn't as direct, isn't straight up preparing him in the same way, is we're getting him sort of back into a more consistent rhythm. We had been traveling from when I was 30 to 34 weeks pregnant. So now that we're back, we're trying to get him into a more consistent rhythm. Now, this is not a schedule, and I think that that's really important to reiterate. It's something I talk about a lot in terms of how we structure our days, is it's not governed by a clock. And I think that's particularly important right now because things are going to change, and I want it to be flexible because it's newborn time and things are not going to be the same every day. That said, I want to have sort of certain routines that are consistent, that we are going to be sustainable, that we can stick with, that'll give him this grounding and give him this sense of stability during this less stable time. So those are some of the ways that we are preparing my son for the new baby. We're really excited. We're a few weeks away. And preparing him has really been my focus is my focus these last few weeks of pregnancy, is preparing him to, take on this new role in our family, all of that. And there are going to be so many changes. And as much as I want to create stability for him as much as possible, as much as he's still my baby, and I think that's so important to talk about. Like, it's not that he's suddenly a big boy, but it is going to change things for him, and it's a big transition. So those are some of the ways we've been preparing him. I hope that's helpful. And you can read the blog post as well for more about all of those things. Some of the books are linked, more information about how I made the story and how I put it together, and it'll have all of the slides there, which you also saw me read. You saw me read it on the video, but it'll also have all the slides there. So those are some of the ways. Thank you for joining.